Okay, so I'm going to call this a crash course on the Sabre Payroll. This is Sabre, as most people know it, mainly used for time and attendance. The payroll function is really just, everything's really on the button over here. However, before I go there, I'm going to show you how to set up the company so that it can use Sabre. So if you go to the company settings under the tables, you can see over here the primary payroll is Sabre and the secondary one is VIP. You can choose whether you want only one payroll or whether you want to run two payrolls. So you can say no payroll. It needs a restart afterwards, but if you wanted to use VIP and Sabre, for example, you would save those two options and you need to restart the computer, or not the computer, but the Sabre program so that it takes effect. So that's the first setting I want to show you. The other one that I want to show you is also optional, even if you're using the payroll, but I like to have it because it makes it a lot easier. Under parameters, you'll find a setting here that says Show Payroll Wizard. So if you select Show Payroll Wizard, I'm going to show you what happens after I restart. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to restart Sabre and show you what happens. So if we run Sabre again now, you'll see it'll come up with the wizard on the desktop, which basically takes you through the payroll information that's required. So instead of going to the area on the top here, you can now go and change your payroll date period here. And I'm not going to go into all the settings of setting up payroll date periods and all that sort of thing. You can phone in for support for that. It's more of an overview to give you an idea, a generalization of what normally happens day to day. So this is where you would add your employees onto the system. And if you're not using Sabre for time and attendance, you could import your clockings or your data here, and your employee data can be found here, and so on. Your attendance log, your duty roster, process your time and attendance, which is all part of time and attendance, as you see at the top here, import clockings and process time and attendance. But what I'm going to focus on is everything on the right hand side here. So you can adjust times, for example. When you're adjusting times, you've got, these are the hours that come through from the time and attendance. You've got two options here. The one is to click it and click that particular person's times for the week. You see at the moment it says, sorry, just to show you, adjust times on a monthly basis. Otherwise, if that's not ticked, when you double click on the times itself, it'll show you where those times came from day for day. So here you can adjust the times, and it will register that you've adjusted the times and the reason for it, or you did it. If you, for example, want to adjust the times for the full period for the month, you then click this over here, and now you can do this in line, as you can see, so you can adjust the times. So if you're happy with all these times for the payroll, you then go to calculate the payroll. I'm not going to go through that process because I don't want to waste time on this presentation. And then you can print pay slips and print the payroll report. So if you look at the print pay slips after doing the calculation, you can print two pay slips. You can either print the summary report, and the summary report looks something like this. The summary is basically what would normally go through to, well, not what will go through to the other payrolls. The summary will give you the breakdown of everybody's deductions and earnings and company contributions and their net pay. And the total, this is page for page over here. I'm going to go to the last page at the bottom, just to show you what the last page looks like. You should have a total of everybody's, let me just see here. You should have a total sum 10 of 10 right at the bottom. We normally get a full summary of all the contributions and earnings. Okay, I'm not sure why I don't see it yet, but normally you see a total. Anyway, and then if you want to print pay slips, print the pay slips. You can either print them to PDF or you can print them to forms that we supply as well, that you can fold the pay slip over and make it private, or you can just print it on a standard A4. So this is how it looks. This is for twin clothing from the looks of things. And it gives you the total earnings and where the salaries are being paid through to. I'll jump around a little bit. I'll show you some of the settings under the employees. But there's employee for employee. with the pay slips. Obviously the date, the pay slip date and the period, the cycle that it's for, and the total earnings and everything else is on the pay slip. Okay, so just out of interest, if you don't have this screen up, which makes it easier, like I say, you can do it all from here where it says calculate payroll, and then you can go here to print the pay slip summaries. There's a summary and the pay slips, and this is where you run the calculator, and this is where you set up the payroll dates. So if you look at the calendar period, these are all the payroll dates. You can see them all highlighted here. If you wanted to change a date, say from the 1st to the 2nd for some reason, you tick it once to unselect it, and you choose the next date, and it'll replace them over here on the right hand side. And obviously, sorry, not obvious, but if you go here, you can do the monthly and the weekly, and you can set up those calendar periods. There's obviously everybody's paid weekly here, not monthly, so they only got the weekly date, the weekly paid over here. Yeah, so I'm just going to go through one of the employees just to show you the setups and the settings for payroll. Like I say, you can go through here at the top, or you can go through here at in the desktop. Go to employee management. Okay, so I'm going to go to payroll, and I'm going to choose the first tab, which is the payroll detail, and here you can see your payment methods. And if you choose cash, you can even get an accounting, what would you call it, an analysis of what coins and what notes you need, so that you can load the pay slips and the pay packages with their money. And then you've also got the EFT function, statutory tax tables, what the person is allowed to take, your UIF deductions, that sort of thing, and whether they're over or under 65, and their bank details under the pay rates. Okay, this year has been moved to here. At the moment, it still sits here under payroll. This will disappear in time. So I'm going to show you the pay rates from here, because this is the actual live data over here at the moment. Like I say, it's moving to this area, so it's all under one screen. So let me just show it to you in this place over here. So this is what's going to be on that screen behind it. So the way this works is you've got a cycle, a pay rate code. You can call it what you wish, even if it's just the person's name, and you can give it a full description. And then you put the value in here, and it automatically, you can put any value you want, whether you put the hours or the day amount or the monthly amount, and it will auto calculate the rest of the amounts for you, as well as the overtime based on the settings of the overtime. Okay, the next thing is the earnings. This is additional earnings. So additional earnings you would insert, and you can choose an additional earning. So for example, it could be a company loan or a bonus, and you can choose whether it's taxable or it's reimbursement. So for example, if you gave a staff member R1,000 for petrol, and then they bring you the slips, and you reimburse them for the slips, and then they've got R1,000 again. So you just keep topping it up. You would do the reimbursement here, and you would make it not taxable, because it's obviously just reimbursement for monies that they've spent for the company, but you've got a place that you're recording it. When it comes to a additional earning, it can either be a fixed amount, or it can be a percentage based on the bonus of what they normally earn, or it could be a variable amount that every month you go in there and you can just change the amount on that specific month. So that's additional earnings. With deductions, as you can see, they have quite a few deductions. You've got things like provident funds and garnishee orders and tea and sick leave. I don't know what the sick is, but it's obviously something that they're deducting that's either, okay, there's zero of it anyway, so obviously they're taking off, if it's unpaid sick leave, I suppose, and union fees, union contributions, whatever it might be. You could just add more if you need to. You just say insert, and over here you can add other additions. And if you look at each one of these, you can see you've got the same thing of a percentage or a fixed amount, or if it's a loan, or it's variable, or for petrol stations, it's part of the MIPCO rule. That's based on a 45-hour rule. And then there's also shortfall. Now, the way shortfall works, you set everybody up that they're working their full hours, and then you do a shortfall, which means that any hours that they don't work gets deducted from their salary. So when their pay slip is shown, the full amount at the top is the full. If they worked full hours for the month, that's what they would be earning, and then the shortfall would be deducted of short hours that they haven't worked. And we have a few clients that use it, and we did it specifically, I think, for Aqua Transport. And the reason they wanted it is that the staff want to go and get loans, and they want to be able to show their actual salary if they didn't have shortfall hours. So their payslip shows their full salary less their shortfall amounts. That's what that's about. Okay, and then yeah, you've got all these other settings. They should be pretty self-explanatory. Once-off, repeated deductions, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's deductions, and then you get company contributions. Now, company contributions, for example, if you look here, you've got Provident Fund. It could be percentage that the client and the staff member pays, and it could be a proportion of it that's company contribution. That would be added in the same way over here. And then over here, you've got salary and wage advance management. This is for advances in salaries. So what happens here, I could probably look for somebody that's using an advance to show you the full thing. But if somebody loans, I call it loans, but in legal terms, a company can't loan money to their staff because it's not a bank and it's not a financial institution. But you can pay your staff member an advance on their salary, and this is where you'd manage it. So here you put in the amount of the advance, you put in a description and information as to what the advance is for or why it's being loaned. And the payslip line description would be here. So company loan, for example, if you want to call it a loan, that is. You should rather call it a company advance. And then you say the frequency, whether they're going to pay it monthly, fortnightly, or weekly. And you link that to a deduction as a company loan. And then this will auto-calculate exactly how much it is. And you can specify if there's a repayment in between. And then it'll keep tabs on that and take it through to the payslip. And then this here is the year-to-date information. So this is where you capture the year-to-date information. So if you're starting using Sabre Payroll in the middle of the year, you can start off with these amounts, these values, and then it will accumulate the rest of it onto there. And then everything will show under your history of salaries that you've earned. So that's it in a nutshell. It's very short and sweet. Like I say, a bit of a crash course on the Sabre Payroll to give you some sort of insight on how it works. I hope it's assisted you. Just contact us should you need support. Remembering we no longer charge for our software. It's totally free. The only thing we do charge for is support. So please contact us and we'll get back to you as soon as